Someone in my personal finance community reached out to me recently asking if they were behind. And I just thought it was the most thought provoking question I've ever received in my entire life, or at least doing this community. So, in this video, I wanted to sort of walk through the process that I shared with that person because it took me a while to like really think about it. Usually, I can think of an answer for like a tactical question. They're like, "Hey, what do I do?" Boom, do this, right? Or whatever, try this. But this like really got me thinking. How she should be thinking about it and maybe how you can think about it going forward as well. So before we do that though, let's talk about how these videos are going to work because I'm building my personal finance community in public daily with these videos. It's called Dollar Discipline University. I'm helping people save more money, pay off debt, find hidden cash flow in their finances every single month. So first, what I want to do is get to some YouTube comments. Think of it like a YouTube Q&A, give you guys immediate value for sort of watching the videos and just answering questions. I love feedback and helping other people out. Then the reason probably why you clicked on this video, I do like to have a segment in these videos where it's a little nugget of tactical information to help you reach your financial goals faster based on my experience of paying off my own $43,000 of debt in just over a year, saving a lot of money, and being a corporate accountant for over a decade now. And then maybe at the end, we'll be talking about some community activity things that can definitely help you level up your finances. So first, let's go to the YouTube comments. And there aren't any comments. So this is the part of the video where I would love to be overwhelmed with all your questions and thoughts around personal finances. So let's just dive right into it. Thoughts on my mind to help you reach your financial goals faster. How do you know if you're behind, right? How do you know? So I'm not going to expose the person here or really like share anything like that. But they asked like, hey, am I behind? Now, what was interesting is this person messages me a lot. Okay, they ask me a lot of great questions, which is awesome. But I've never like specifically worked with them like very like hardcore in like they didn't really open up their finances to me or anything like that yet, right? It's just like they're just kind of going through the DMs and just asking me questions. So I think for them to ask me that, one, it's cool. They're like, oh, okay, this person trusts me a little bit. But two, I think like a lot of people, no matter what the goal is, it's easy to compare to what other people are doing, right? So nope, that's not what I want. If we make this a little graph here, oh, that's pretty straight. I'm getting better with this lines here. And I think a lot of times we see like maybe news articles or other people talking, and we have this like average of where people are, right? So this is let's call this like money / financial goals. No, I think this is going to be like here. And then this is time. So let's assume that this orange line is like the national average for whatever thing you're trying to do, right? And I think what we try to do is like, hey, this is going to be you. Like, where are we on this spectrum? Are we above the average? Are we below the average? And I actually think this is the absolute wrong way to think about this. That was a brutal X. My hand got caught up there. So let's, I'm going to make another graph because this is what is more important to me. And this is what I ended up sharing with the person. So this is your personal / money growth. This is your graph. This is time. And then this is, I'm going to do the same thing here. Money, whatever. Money, financial goals, whatever you want to call the thing, right? This is like basically like how much money you have. Maybe we'll turn this green. And this is how much time. So think about like you're born here and we pass away here, right? Something, whatever. I think what we should be doing is looking at where we have been, where we currently are, and where we want to go. So let's say, for example, and I'll make this a different color, not that one. Let's make this a different color, the line here. So you start off and it's basically like nothing for a pretty long period of time, right? In terms of money / financial goals. Then you maybe get like that high school, college job or whatever. Okay, great. And you're sort of trajectorying up. Maybe you go to college, maybe you don't, but maybe you have like a better income sort of job and you have this huge spike. Okay, and you're just kind of going along. Maybe you get different spikes of income or whatever. So you are here. Maybe you're not here. Maybe you're here. Okay. you're here. Okay. And what I think we need to do more of is look back at to where we were, call it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, and maybe the the spacing on this graph isn't very great. But let's say this is 10 years ago. Let's say this is 5 years ago, and let's say this is 1 year ago. Where were you at these intervals? So it's really helpful to kind of look back. Where were you in this? So let's say 10 years ago, you're like, oh, okay, I've just started starting this new venture and making more money. And then 5 years ago, it's like, okay, now I'm like really, really like honing in on the skills. And 1 year ago, it's like nothing's really changed since 5 years to 1 year. Like nothing changed here, right? And then we want to look at, okay, where do we want to go? So let's say, yeah, this was kind of a bad example. Let's say this is like your projected growth, okay? Or you could be like, I want it to go more like this. We have to look at what we were doing here, say 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago. It's really hard to remember, by the way, because I've been trying to do a lot of these exercises myself. Because when I started my personal finance journey, I was not expecting, so I was, we'll call this 10 years ago at this point. I was not expecting to be making content or helping other people about it in 10 years from now. So it's really hard. If I knew I was going to be doing that back then, I would have documented more things. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the brand would have been way further ahead, right? If I started 10 years ago. But it's been good to really reflect on my path. So what I ended up doing, maybe 10 years ago, I started with this like accountability thing. Nope. I started with, sorry, it's it's early in the morning for when I'm recording this. I started just trying to figure out awareness. Like, where was I? And you can do this at every stage. You can do this thinking about like, how aware was I 10 years ago? How aware was I 1 year ago? How aware am I now? How aware would I like to be in 5, 10 years? So this is kind of the first step. It's like, what sort of level of awareness? What am I trying to accomplish? And then how do I, so it's like, what do I want? And then how do I look at the thing that I need to be aware of? So in this person's case, I'm helping people pay off debt, save money. So in this person's case, she was asking about her debt. Like, hey, am I like behind, ahead? Like, what's the deal here? I like, whatever. I don't want to like put words in her mouth and share her whole story. The awareness part is so important because if, that's great if, you want to do something, but how aware are you? So when I asked her, like, hey, how, before you joined this community, like, how aware were you of your debt? And she told me that she had them written down, but overall not very aware. Meaning, like, she could access them. She wasn't really looking at them every month or something. She had like a general idea, right? And then I was like, okay, when you joined this community, what happened? She's like, well, and this is me putting my sort of framework in the process here, but it's like, I started taking action, and she would used community resources for tracking. That's great because I think everyone has this mental thing in their mind where in order to take action, it's like you have to like change your entire life to make this thing happen. I'm talking about like, what is the like smallest action? And now this might seem like counterproductive to some people. It's like, well, if I want a big change, why would I take a small action? It's because you haven't taken maybe any actions yet, which is fine. It's understandable. You're new to this process. But if you haven't taken any action yet, you just have to take some action. So what this individual did was she just started using the free resources in the community, including a software. It's called Wealthway. There we go. It's loading. It's a budget tracker, debt tracker. It's got, your dashboard stuff, everything like that. So she would just basically, would go on Wealthway, track all of her stuff, and kind of just see, like, I think the biggest thing is like, hey, what is my debt-free date? So she would get that information. This is not her information, by the way. This is just kind of a dummy example here. Oh, my big fat head's in the way. Let me see. So like in Wealthway, you could just see like, hey, what's your what's your debt free date? How much interest are you going to be paying? It's just like this awareness step of like, what do I want to have happen? Sorry. Nope. All right, here we go. Technology, am I right? All right. So yeah, back to her example. So she just started using resources like, oh wow, like this opens my eyes tremendously. Um, I didn't even know when I was going to be paying off the debt. I didn't know how much interest I was actually paying. Like, I think you just get in this mundane cycle when you're paying off debt of like you just like kind of keep making the payments, right? Keep making the payments, without even really thinking about it, without thinking about them, or like, hey, what's the breakout of interest versus principal, or what, how, if I apply a little extra money to the debt, like how much faster I could get paid off. And you could all play around with all of that inside of, say, Wealthway, which is an exclusive software for my free community. It's just for the community. So if you're interested, come check out Dollar Discipline University. Keep making the payments without thinking about them. Because I would do this. I did this all the time when I had $43,000 of debt. My wife and I, we were just making minimum payments. Maybe occasionally, if we got like a bonus or something, we'd throw a little extra money at the debt. But we were not being thoughtful or intentional about like, how do we just get rid of this faster, right? So this step was great for her, and I think that's what kind of initiated the question. It's like, okay, I'm aware now, and I've been taking action. Like, why is this taking so long? Essentially, I think it's kind of the messaging here. So if I go here, then it's like, okay, how are you going to keep up with this for a long period of time? Because it's going to take a long period of time. Now, my wife and I, we paid off $43,000 of debt in 13 months, but every situation is going to be different. No one's going to have, like, I don't promise outcome or speed or anything like that in the community in terms of that. But what I do promise is if you just like, if you become aware, if you take action and then you figure out how to do it for a long period of time, I do kind of guarantee that you're gonna make forward progress. It's just impossible not to. Like if you're staring at something all the time, you're taking small actions, which will eventually lead to bigger actions, by the way. But like, let's just start with small actions, and then how do we do it month over month? So she's like, okay, well, the thing that I'm doing now is I am, I'm obviously tracking every month. She is being more thoughtful of spending, or I should say like realigning her spending, right? Because it's not just I hate the idea that people think like budgeting and tracking is all about cutting. It's really just like realigning our resources, because we only have so much time, money, effort that we can give, right? Because we do like to sleep and we do like to do all these things, right? So there's like, we have limited time. So how do we use our current resources to be able to make it happen? Well, we have to realign it to things that matter to us the most. So she's realigning her spending. She's talking about things that she used to do, like her old way, and now it's like, well, I probably can't do those anymore going forward. And what I really prefer, this is me personally talking to you, and you can of course do however you want. I would much rather see you slow down to last longer on the journey than to speed up to fall off wagon many times. And what do I mean by that? So let's say this is like going back to the example of like cutting. That's what the speed thing is here. This is like cutting, like all your expenses, you're down to the bare bones. You're like in rice and beans, you're whatever, right? How reasonable is it that you're going to be able to stick to that for a long period of time? It's probably not very reasonable that you're going to stick to that for a long period of time. And what might feel great over a couple months of like you finding all this hidden cash flow, you're like, oh wow, I found $500 per month, but you're like, you're not eating, you're like, I don't know, you're not sleeping because you're doing like all these side hustle-y things, and you're like, wow, this is great though, I have $500 a month, which is amazing, and maybe a little like 1 month, 2 month sprint is great, but what happens almost inevitably to everyone that does this is it's not sustainable forever. What is sustainable forever? Like, let's say you're like, okay, in order to like kind of keep living my life, what if I, did it was like I'm finding $250 a month, and the things that I'm cutting out aren't really that super important. Like I don't need them, right? There were people that lived 200 years ago without Netflix and they survived just fine. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying cut Netflix. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing out an example. So this, if you put something in your kind of lifestyle, if you set it up as like more of a lifestyle shift than like a quick fixer, I think that's going to be way better. This feels more sustainable, right? It does. So I would rather you do this. Let me make one more graph. Let's see. Oh, pretty good, pretty good. So let's say, is this the same text box? Yeah. So let's say that this blue, okay, and then this is orange. So with blue, what happens is you're here and you're like, I need to make a change, and then boom, you're up here, and then you're like, oh wow, this is great, and then you just like crash and you go back to where you were, or even like less, meaning like money that you have available, right? But what I'd rather have you do is be like, oh wow, I'm struggling. You go up to here and you can just consistently, I'm going to try to draw this as straight as possible, do that over time. And then eventually you can maybe increase it a little bit, right? You go up and up instead of like this big, massive like seesaw swings where you're like up, down, up, down, up, down. And then you have to like, every time you get to this point, you have to like reset everything and you sort of lose all of this. You have to get back to the awareness, because let's say you're tracking everything, you're looking at all your money every month, and then you just stop doing it for 3 or 4 months. Well, guess what you have to do to get back into it? You have to become more aware again of where you've been spending your money, because something changed and we need to figure out what the change is, right? Whereas this, if you're constantly doing it, right, there's like the lift that you have to do every month is less. So every month you get more and more comfortable with it, and it's just becoming a habit, and there's less actions that you have to take, less different actions you have to take, I suppose. Whereas this, it's like you're always like redoing the process, and it just like that's why people don't win, because they just do it for a bit, like this doesn't really work, or wow, I hate that I had to give up all these things for it, right? And it just, I think the mindset of it is just kind of what I'm after here. It's like you don't have to. I just want people to realign everything to the things that matter to them the most. So sometimes what that means, and when I was going through this exercise too, for example, fitness was important for me, but I was looking at the money that I was spending on my fitness, and I was spending, this was pre-COVID, right? So I had a gym membership. I don't go to a gym anymore. We ended up just doing a home gym thing, whatever. But it was like I was spending $20 a month on my fitness. And I was spending, I did go. I went to the gym a lot, but it was like, I don't know, like, sure, I'm spending time there. That's great. But like $20 a month, like that doesn't seem like it's very important to me if I'm only spending $20 a month, right? And I think I understand why people like would do that. Like, oh, I'm trying to get the deal for the gym, right? It has everything I need. But really, in reality, it's like if we're not putting the resources towards the things that matter to us the most, we're putting it towards things that we care about less. So that's all I'm trying to get at here in this video. So let me know if that was helpful at all. Inside Dollar Discipline University, I walk through this entire process. Nope, that's the wrong one. In this 2-day sort of group coaching cash flow kickstart event, where I help you understand where your money's been going, how to realign your money to the things that matter the most, and then how to keep that momentum month after month. All these things are critical. Think of them like a 3-legged stool. This is a free thing, by the way, just to be very clear. It's a free 2-day sprint. Anyone new that joins can join it. I'm running them every single week. Here's my community calendar. So I have one coming up here, another one here. I'm going to be adding dates to October soon. Okay. So I had one here. And it's just a great way to, nope, not that one again. It's just a great way to do this. In my opinion, it's the fastest way to find hidden cash flow. And all of these things are necessary. They're all required. Because if you know where your money's going, you know how to realign it, but then you can't do it every month. That's a problem, right? If you know how to realign your money to the things that matter the most, you do it every month, but you have no idea like where your other money's going or whatever, then that's a problem. Or if you know where your money's going and you know where your money's going month after month, but you don't know how to realign it to the things that matter most, like then what's the point of even doing anything else? Okay, great, because you know what's happening with your money, but is it improving your life, your financial goals, right? So all these three things are critical. I'm doing these videos daily, guys. So again, get your comments in YouTube, under any YouTube video. I'd love to sort of give you guys value immediately with a Q&A. Just kind of see where you're struggling with, where your problems are. You don't have to get super specific, like, hey, I have, $20,000 in debt, and here's how much money I make, and it's just like the broad picture. Okay. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, and let's keep winning in our personal finances.